Scientists have not made life in a lab. A 2023 study found that over 72% of respondents thought scientists had created simple life forms, like bacteria, from scratch. That means nearly 3 in 4 people significantly overestimate the accomplishment of origin of life scientists. The abstract of the study says scientific ideas and traditional products can be marketed in similar ways, and neither is immune to the effects of misinformation. My question is simple. If some of the greatest scientists of the last century cannot produce life from non life, then why believe that life could arise from non life? What best explains the origin of life? One of the problems, it seems, with origin of life research is that life is not just physics and chemistry. In their book, The Mystery of Life's Origin, Charles Thaxton, Walter Bradley, and Roger Olson use the analogy that chemistry and physics alone cannot produce information any more than ink and paper could produce the information in a book. Francis Crick said, "An honest man armed with all the knowledge available to us now could only state that in some sense the origin of life appears at the moment to be almost a miracle. So many are the conditions which would have had to have been satisfied to get it going." Francis Crick made that statement in 1981. 28 years after Crick and James Watson discovered the double helix structure of DNA. Fast forward 45 years since 1981, and the origin of life seems just as miraculous. Stephen C. Meyer writes in his book, Return of the God Hypothesis, during the last 70 years, every proposed materialistic model has failed to explain the origin of the functionally specified genetic information required to build a living cell. The origin of life is so confounding that you could become a multimillionaire if you can just discover a purely chemical process that will generate, transmit, and receive a simple code without any information snuck in from an intelligent designer. That's the prize that was announced by Perry Marshall at the Royal Society in London 2019. No one has been able to claim the $10 million. If even the best scientists with the best tools and millions of dollars in funding can't make life from non-life, then maybe life did not come from non-life in the first place. If we're using our tool of inference to the best explanation, then the naturalistic ideas of life arising from non-life all fail. Methodological naturalism restricts explanations to unguided physical processes, and we don't know of a single one that can bring about life. The idea of life arising from non-life is not the best explanation. It's not even an adequate explanation. So, how do we evaluate competing explanations to determine which one is best? A significant way to evaluate and find the best explanation is called causal adequacy. Stephen C. Meyer writes of causal adequacy, this criterion requires that historical scientists identify causes known to have the power to produce the kind of effect, feature, or event in question. In making these determinations, they evaluate hypotheses against their present knowledge of cause and effect. Causes known to produce the effect in question are judged better candidates than those that do not. Meyer illustrates this point with the example that a volcanic eruption is a better explanation for a white ash layer in the earth than an earthquake or flood, because it has been observed producing that effect, while earthquakes and floods have not. With causal adequacy in mind, is there any known mechanism that shows life arising from non-life? Is there any known cause outside of a mind for specified complex information, like what we find in DNA? No. Every proposed naturalistic model has, so far, failed to demonstrate causal adequacy. But there's more. Dr. Meyer also points out something really interesting. Philosophers of science have also noted that assessments of explanatory power lead to conclusive inferences only when it can be shown that there's just one known cause for the effect or evidence in question. When scientists can infer a uniquely plausible cause, they can avoid the fallacy of affirming the consequent. the error of deciding on one causal explanation while ignoring other possible causes. In other words, if there's just one known cause for an effect, that cause is by far the best explanation. Only minds are causally adequate to create specified complex information. No other known cause can produce that effect. Some people may argue that future discoveries may change this, but causal adequacy evaluates causes we know can produce the effect. The specified information in each of the 40 trillion cells in your body is best explained by intelligent design. God is causally adequate to be the originator of information found in the human genome. God is the best explanation for the information necessary for the origin of life. There's not even a second place.